What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I wanted to break down what's happening with the overall markets. I want to talk about SPY, Tesla, and the QQQ and give you guys more views about how they could be moving in the future. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. We deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. We deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total. And the offer ends very, very soon. Anyways, the market's doing a great job at holding its key supports, but SPY does have some tough resistance to watch for the time being. Despite that, I want to talk about what the overall trend is suggesting and some very, very key levels to watch for. So, one thing that's worth mentioning is that the market has so many shorts. Every week, there's so many of these shorts expiring. The put to call option ratios do favor shorts more. Now, that's what's been fueling the market rally that's been continuing for so long. And despite the fact that, there's all these people on YouTube saying the market's going to crash right now, there's a pullback coming, this and that. I would say that it is possible we get that pullback, but it's not the same thing as a crash. It's not a crash. It does not mean the market has to dump extremely hard. And I'm going to explain what that means and also some key levels to watch for. So, looking at SPY, the chart is very, very simple. Okay, there's only three possible directions: upside, downside, or trading sideways. And with SPY pushing on a very, very nice uptrend, I want to mention that so far we are remaining very, very strong. Now, looking at this trend, there's a tough resistance up here at the 609 area, which could signify a small dip. But as of right now, it would not necessarily turn me into a big bear because this trend remains very, very strong on the 4-hour time frame. When you look at the weekly time frame, the chart remains bullish, making higher highs and higher lows. Even if you have bullish candlesticks on the weekly, you could still get some pullbacks here and there, only to continue to go higher. So the weekly still shows we're riding above our 20 EMA nicely. If we do get a small dip, we could continue to push, but this still remains very, very bullish in terms of the trend. The monthly is also more bullish. December is historically a strong month for the markets. Right now, everything remains in favor of bulls. So, what does this tell us? What about a crash? What is my view of all of this? Let me explain something. If the market gets some kind of pullback, if that were to happen, okay, you're going to be looking at 605.4 as the first key level. That's near the 20 EMA. If that were to fail us, there is that gap down there around 604. And then below that, you have 602 to 601. I think 602 is going to be the main level because that's going to be where the 50 EMA reaches by the time we get to like early next week. Those, excuse me, those are going to be the main supports. And that also aligns with our resistance, which became support around 601. So that 601 to 602 area is going to be like very, very key for SPY. Um, we have a confluence of support currently at 601. That aligns with our previous resistance to previous all-time high becoming support. And that also aligns with our 50 EMA. So I think what's going to happen is this to SPY. We could see a small pullback, but every single small pullback leads to more upside, at least for the last couple of months. If you guys look at the way SPY has been moving, the chart has been continually favoring the bulls over and over again. Why? Because so many people have shorts. So many people are shorting the market, betting the market's going to crash. As a result, we're getting this big squeeze. On top of that, if you look at earnings for the overall market were not too bad. They're still decent overall. If you look at how Nvidia's earnings went, they were not bad. Look at Tesla's earnings, and the list goes on. A lot of big tech stocks still have decent earnings, and that's not really causing the market to dump. So that's why the market continues to hold up. So, in my opinion, there's a mix of different factors from earnings being good, the amount of people who are shorting the market, and then also Jerome Powell, who's continuing to push the soft landing narrative, and the fact that the economic data that's being shown is not too terrible. It's not really showing that we're in a recession. I know people have different views on that. That's completely understandable. And many people don't even trust the data that's coming out. So, a lot of the times the unemployment data comes out and then it ends up getting revised and looking much worse. So, yeah, I mean that happens, sure. But at the end of the day, I just want to say that the market remains bullish because of all these different factors. And we're not officially in a recession, at least on paper, based off what's being reported. So we can't necessarily see that as the catalyst to like cause some kind of massive stock market crash right now. So from my view, we just want to follow the trend and what the chart is telling us in real time, which is that we're not in a crash phase. There's no sign of SPY losing its support. Anytime this thing dips, we just get bought back up, and that's most likely how the trend is going to continue. So I favor the same thing, that if there is some kind of like pullback, we're going to get bought back up. I think the trend is very, very bullish, and there's no sign of SPY rejecting. I would like to see a pullback. It would be very healthy. There's no sign of us officially losing support at 606 yet, so we're not breaking structure yet. If that happens, then yes, we could pull back a bit, and there's going to be that risk of the market not only dipping, but potentially giving us a good buying opportunity for another continuation of the squeeze. December is historically a bullish month, so if we do get a dip back down, just hypothetically, it's like 605 or even like the lower 600s, we'll be bought back up towards the end of the year, and the squeeze is going to continue. So please keep that in mind if that's what my view happens to be. Another ticker that's very hot right now is Tesla. Tesla, for the most part, is just getting lots of good news. There's been a lot of good news involving the price targets of different analysts who are talking about how it's going to be hitting the 400s. We had Fubon Securities say that. We also had Morgan Stanley and many other analysts who are just very, very bullish, having 400 plus dollar price targets. Fubon Securities actually had a 472 as their target. Very, very bullish in my opinion. So, in my opinion, we're very, very bullish. I think that Tesla is going to be reaching all-time highs soon. When you look at the weekly time frame, there was a very nice accumulation that was developing, and we're very close to that 400 mark. So I think 400 is going to be one resistance in 415, very close to the all-time high. That's where I think Tesla's essentially going. So I expect more upside. I think there's going to be a lot more upside coming. I can't wait to see how high Tesla ends up going. If Tesla were to lose support right over here at like 360, it could turn back down, but there's no sign of that. It's just continuing to rip, and I expect it to push more. I also think that on Monday, as long as this trend continues, we could be looking for a test of 400. I think Tesla's going to be hitting the 400 mark. I think it's going to continue to squeeze towards the end of the year, looking very, very resilient. For the QQQ, this is very bullish. It's actually stronger than SPY on the weekly. But when you look at the 4 hour, I do want to call out that the resistance is getting tighter the higher we go into like the 520s. So I would say to be excuse me, to be a little bit more careful with the QQQ. However, as of right now, it's also very bullish. So the supports to watch for are going to be at 520 and then 513.9 for on the bigger time frames. I'm saying that because we need to lose 512, 513 to turn bearish, and there's no sign of that whatsoever. In fact, if you zoom out, just look at this. We're making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs all over again. So this is very, very bullish. Could it turn? It's always a possibility, but there's no sign of that whatsoever. And any small pullbacks will likely just get bought back up. The main support right now is going to be in the 523.64 area. That's right over here at the previous resistance. So I think that if we do turn a little bit and get some kind of small pullback, it's just going to be another buying opportunity, and the QQQ remains bullish for the time being. Could things turn later on? It's always a possibility, but right now the charts remain very, very bullish. The weekly is strong on the QQQ, so is the monthly, and we're going to be watching this resistance. We did a very good job at being resilient. If it does dip a little bit, it might just continue to go higher, and it might try to make its way closer to 530 before we do turn. That's always a possibility because right now we're quite bullish. Unless we lose like 522, I will change my mind. But nonetheless, we look very, very bullish. If we do get some kind of pullback phase, whether we top out between 527 to 530 in that range or not, if we do get some kind of pullback, it's a buying opportunity, right? Quite clearly, because the trend is very bullish. I'm eyeing this gap around that 517 area. If we do turn and lose 520, I do expect that to get filled. But then the thing about that is we might just get bought back up really close to that range between 517 and 520, and the squeeze will likely continue as time goes on. So I think the QQQ looks very bullish. Could it dip a little bit? Sure, but there's no sign of it officially starting that dip yet. So it still remains bullish. And I think that there is potential for this to try to break out even higher. So please keep that in mind. Right now, the market remains very, very strong. I'm making it very clear that the bigger winner is like Tesla because there's been a lot of hype about the new price targets, the Cybercab having fewer parts in the Model 3 and the Model Y, and a bunch of other factors like that. So the market's bullish. It's on a very, very strong uptrend. If there are some sort of pullbacks that come, they're nothing more than buying opportunities. It's very simple, at least for the time being, from the way I'm analyzing this. I'm just making it very understandable for people who are very new to this. And we could shift our views, of course, right? You want to be very adaptive to new situations if we get confirmation on the charts of that. But right now, we're not getting that. Right now, the chart's telling us that the dips are just going to get bought back up and we favor upside. So my view will stay the same until we see a break. For now, the trend is your friend, and this is what I'm seeing on the bigger time frames. Thank you all so much for listening. December is going to be a big month for the markets. It's going to be bullish. I think the December rally is going to likely continue. If we do see a small pullback, we will continue to get bought back up, and the bulls have a bigger edge. Okay, so I thank you all so much for listening. Please enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll be back tomorrow for a more in-depth video about SPY, the QQQ, NVIDIA, and all the others. Until then, enjoy the weekend and peace out.